Okay, so today we're going to be talking about estimating roots, and there are a couple of steps that I would like you to follow along with. Step one, so you're going to write your root. Step two, you're going to find what the root is in between. So it's going to be in between two other perfect squares. Step four, you're going to find your distance, and step five, you're going to estimate. Now we're going to be doing some other things in between, but these are the general steps. All right, so the first example I'm going to give you, I'm going to say the square root of 15. Square root of 15. Now the square root of 15, I'm already going to tell you the whole point of today is to deal with things that are not perfect squares. Square root of 15 is definitely not going to be perfect. So I'm going to get my list from our previous lesson. I'm going to find out where the square root of 15 is. If I look at the square root of 15, it should be right here somewhere in between the square root of 9 and the square root of 16. It's going to be in between here. So square root of 9 is my next smallest. Square root of 16 is my next largest. So that's going to be my step 2. Find out what two perfect squares your number is in between. So it's in between the square root of 9 and the square root of 16. Now I know the square root of 9. We know that the square root of 9 is 3 and the square root of 16 is 4. So drop those right down. So the square root of 15 has to be somewhere in between 3 and 4. It's got to be a 3 point something. It can't be smaller than 3. It can't be bigger than 4. So now we're going to use our distances. So we're going to find our distances. That's step 3. So the distance from 9 to 15 is 6 steps. I'm going to throw that in a circle. From 15 to 16 is 1 step. It's definitely closer. Think of these as houses. 15 is 6 houses away from 9 and 1 house away from 16. So it's definitely going to be closer to the square root of 16, which is 4. It's going to be a higher decimal. Think of this as like halfway in between. It's going to be higher than halfway because it's a lot closer to 4. So good estimation would be around here. Maybe a 3.8 or 3.9 would be a good estimation for the square root of 15, square root of 15. So let's go ahead and try another one. I'm going to say the square root of 38. Now 38 I know is not going to be a perfect square because that's the whole point of today's lesson. So I'm going to use my list and find out the square root of 38 is in between right here. It's in between 36 and 49. So I know my number should be in between 6 and 7. So let's go ahead and check that out. In between 36 and 49. So 36 is the lower one. Put it on the left. 49 is the higher one. So I know that the square root of 38 has to be somewhere between, on my number line, a 6 and a 7. So let's go ahead and figure out our distances. So that was step 2. If I look back at my steps, find out what two perfect squares it's in between, go ahead and find the distances. So 36 and 38 are 2 apart. 38 and 49 are 11 apart. So I could see I live 2 houses away from 36. I'm going to be a lot closer to 6 than I am to 7. I live 11 houses away there. So if I think about my halfway mark as a 3.5, I definitely want to be on the lower end of that 3.5. So I'm going to do, this one's actually really, really close to 36. I'm going to do like a 6.1 or a 6.2. We're estimating, so it's not going to be perfect. That's hard to see. Sorry, 6.2. In real life, this is a decimal that goes on and on and on forever. So it's like a 6.189734, but I'm estimating it. So I'm using my knowledge of distances and knowing that it's in between 6 and 7, and definitely a lot closer to 6 than 7 if I look at my distances here to make a good estimation. I can't talk. If I say 6.2 and you say 6.1, we're both correct. You're still going to get points for that. Now, if you say a 6.8, you're not understanding this concept. You're telling me that I'm closer to the 49 than I am to 36. I need you to be in my zone here, a 6.1, a 6.2. Try not to go close to the halfway mark. So don't go close to your 6.4, 6.5, 6.6. You don't want to be close to the halfway mark because that means that you're halfway in between these two locations. All right. So let me give you another example. So I'm going to say the square root of 13. Square root of 13. So we did 15. 13 is going to be, where are we at? 13 right there. In between 9 and 16, which means it's somewhere in between 3 and 4. So I know you're thinking, didn't we use 9 and 16 before? Yeah, but we used a different number. So let's see what happens now when I make that number a little bit lower. So I know the square root of 9 is going to be a 3. Tick mark. Put a tick mark on your number line. Square root of 16 is a 4. This is a 3 point something here. Halfway would be a 3.5. All right. So, and if I said 3.5 back here in this problem, that was a 6.5. Sorry, halfway in between 6 and 7 is 6.5. So let's do our distances. This is a distance of 3 between 3 and 16. This is a distance of 4. Now, look at these. They're almost the same distance. So this 13 is almost halfway in between 16 and 9. They're almost the same. This person lives almost halfway in between these other two people. So I want a number that's really close to the halfway mark. But I'm going to notice that it's a little bit closer to square root of 16. So I'm going to make this a little bit, just a smidge bit closer to 4. So a decimal that would be like almost halfway, but a tiny bit closer would be a 3.6. So you're only using these middle numbers, 3.4, 5, and 6, if you're almost halfway in between the two houses that you're looking for. All right, we'll do one more and then we'll be done with this concept. I'm going to say the square root 59. Let's make it a little big. Square root of 59, of course, that's not going to be a perfect square. That would be too easy. Square root of 59, let's see where we're at. Right here, in between 49 and 64. So my number has to be in between 7 and 8. Okay, 49, 64. Let's see. Square root of 49. Square root of 64. Well, I know the square root of 49 is 7. We just said that. I'm going to do a little tick mark. Integers should be tick marks on your number line. Square root of 64 is 8. Integer, make it a tick mark. Let's go ahead and find some distances. I know that this is going to be a distance of 10. And this right here is a distance of 5. 59 plus 5 is 64. So it's definitely closer to my 8. So I want a high 7. I know it's got to be a 7 point something. 7.5 is if they would be the same distance or almost halfway in between a 49 and 64. I'm going to make it closer. I wouldn't say it's extremely close. I wouldn't make it like a 7.9. I would either make this a 7.8 or a 7.7. That would be a good estimation. All right. So that was your estimating roots of non-perfect squares. Have a good day.